That goes back to understanding what the Declaration and the Constitution, the relationship that they have, in that the Declaration of Independence laid out grievances against the King of England at the time for violating all the rights that the individual liberty that the colonists had. They were God given rights, and in doing so, they declared our independence from Britain. But it doesn't go far enough when you just declare what those oppressive tyranny acts were. You actually have to address them. And so the Constitution follows through and addresses, all right, we're not going to allow this to happen. We're not going to allow this to happen, this. So it addresses all those grievances. So you can't have the Constitution without the Declaration, and the Declaration is really nothing without the Constitution overall, because they're so co-independent. And we hear all the time that we're a democracy. Well, we're not a democracy. That's a mobocracy that leads to dictatorship. And like our founder said, a democracy will always commit suicide at some point in time. We are actually a constitutional republic, meaning that we put together this structured outline of laws that is our guideline, and we are to follow them. Because if we don't follow that, what guidelines are we following? Are we following what men want? Then if we're a nation of men versus a nation of laws, that's going to blow with the wind every time we have a change in administration, like we've just seen happen over the last 4 to 16 years. We've seen a tremendous amount of that, and President Trump trying to correct a lot of that. But it blows with the wind on what does that person in authority or office, what do they value in their morality? So our Constitution has to have a higher standard that we adhere to. And knowing that our highest standard is God. And if we lose sight of that, then we're going to lose our nation altogether. How do we follow into that guideline of adhering to the Constitution without knowing it? It does require the continual studying of it, and knowing that God gave, for the first time in history, it was recognized that God gave authority and power to the people, and the people granted limited authority to the government. And that is the unique difference of what the United States is versus all of history, because it was always the king assuming the power directly from God and then granting power to the people. That's the entire world history up until 1776. It comes down to understanding and knowing what our rights are, and that our rights do come from God, not from government. Because if government grants those rights, they can take those rights away. There was a lot of discussion of the founders, and some of them actually refused to sign the Constitution because it didn't specify enough limitation on the federal government until they included the Bill of Rights. And the Bill of Rights is really a restriction on government versus the people having to ask permission. No, we don't have to ask permission. We already have permission. That's our God-given rights. It's the government is restricted from infringing upon those rights.